Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna
Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare Ram
Hare Krishna. Vancha kalparubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Lakshmi from Dallas, welcoming all of you to Bhakti Sangha conference call. And thank you for attending this session. Please pardon me for interrupting your ecstatic chanting. Moving on to the next stage of today's conference call, I would like to go through the 10 offenses to the holy name written by Srila Vyasdeva in Padma Puran. Number 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Number 2. To consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. Number 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Number 4. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. Number 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Number 6. To give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. Number 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. Number 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Vedas as fruitative activities, Karma Kanda. Number 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Number 10. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success, Krishna Prem. So once again, welcome to today's call and thank you very much for joining us. Moving on to our next session, which is Srimad Bhagavatam class. I would let all the devotees on the call to please go ahead with your introductions now.
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Priti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Priti Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devi Dasi from Texas College Station. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pranams, all glories to the Srila Prabhupada and the assembled devotees. This is Devotee from Atlanta, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Revati Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj's. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devi Dasi from
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indulekha Karna Devi Dasi from Lincoln.
Hare Krishna, Indulekha Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranams to you and all devotees here. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Eka Radhika Leela Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Eka Radhika Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavatam, Shri Parvati, Shri Guru Maharaj Ki Jai. This is Shama Guru Vidasi from Shama.
Hare Krishna Shamagari Mataji, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Any more introductions? Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. We're extremely fortunate to have His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhuji here with us today. And Prabhuji would be enlightening us by discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 17, and verse 11 to 14. But before we dive into this nectarine class, I would request Raj Prabhuji to share a brief introduction about our today's speaker, His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Raj Prabhuji. Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Over to you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Danvat Pranam to you and all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Shri Guru and Gauranga. Here is a brief introduction for our very dear speaker today, His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhuji. Prabhuji is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj and is the Associate Dean of Academic Affairs, the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapeeth Research Center at Govardhan Eco Village, GEV. Prabhu is a member of ISKCON Board of Examinations. He holds a master degree from the IIT Bangalore and teaches Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Vaishnava character course at GEV and at the several places in India. Prabhu has written several books, including Gita Subodhini, Bhagavad Subodhini, Chaitanya Subodhini, Disapproved but Not Disowned, Bhagavad Parvaha, and Gita the Jewel Box. He has special fondness for reciting and meditating on scriptural verses and has compiled Shlokas book, namely Gita Ratnamala, Bhagavad Ratnamala, Chaitanya Ratnamala, and Bhagavata Tattvamala. He also runs a free monthly e-magazine called Bhagavad Pradipika and regularly writes educational and devotional articles that also appear in the Back to Godhead International magazine and multiple Indian language editions. Prabhu is known for his lucid spiritual talks with captivating visuals and also presentations that give a bird eye view of entire book or a section. So far, Prabhu has delivered thousands of hours of spiritual discourses. He has guided several students in their Shastric studies, and he also oversees the deity worship and Govardhan Eco Village. Hari Bol. To you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Raj Prabhuji, for the introduction. Don't have Prabhuji on the call yet, looks like it.
He's on the call, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna Gauranga Darshan Prabhuji. Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for giving us your valuable time and association this morning and enlightening us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Mataji, Prabhuji needs to connect to the audio. He didn't yet connected. What you're speaking, Prabhuji did not hear.
Okay.
So can we read Shloka, Mataji?
Yeah, Mataji. I think Prabhuji is connected.
Oh, yes. Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Mataji, do we read till 13 or 14? 13 also has a purport. Hare Krishna, Shama Gauri Mataji.
Yeah.
Gauranga Darshan Prabhuji, can you hear us?
Until 13 now, Mataji.
Sure, Mataji. Shall we start reading then? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Gauranga Darshan Prabhuji. Dhanvat Pranam. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for giving us your valuable time in association this morning and enlightening us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. Without further ado, I would like to request you to please take over from here. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjana-shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Can I see the shloka that is to be discussed today? We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, chapter number 17, text number 11. Shri Parvati Vacha Adhuna Loke Shasta Dandadhara Prabhu Asmadvidhanam Dushtanam Nirlajjanam Chaviprakrit. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Goddess Parvati said, "Alas, has this upstart now received a post from which to punish shameless persons like us? Has he been the appointed ruler, carrier of the rod of punishment? Is he now the only master of everything? Naveda dharmam kila padmayoder na brahmaputra bhrugunaradadayah navai kumara kapilo manuscha yeno nishedhantyativartinam haram." Translation. Alas, Lord Brahma, who has taken his birth from the lotus flower, does not know the principles of religion. Nor do the saints like Bhrigu and Narada, nor the four Kumaras headed by Sanat Kumara. Manu and Kapila have also forgotten the religious principles. I suppose it to be because of this that they have not tried to stop Lord Shiva from behaving improperly. 13th Shloka. Esham anudhyeya padabjayugmam jagadguram mangalam swayam yah ksatra bandhur paribhuya suryen prashasti dhrishtas tadayam hi dandyah. Translation. This Chitraketu is the lowest of Kshatriyas, for he has impudently overridden Brahma and the other demigods by insulting Lord Shiva, upon whose lotus feet they always meditate. Lord Shiva is personified religion and the spiritual master of the entire world, and therefore Chitraketu must be punished. Purport. All the members of the assembly were exalted Brahmanas and self-realized souls, but they did not say anything about the conduct of Lord Shiva, who was embracing the goddess Parvati on his lap. Chitraketu nonetheless criticized Lord Shiva, and therefore the opinion of Parvati was that he should be punished. Only 3 shlokas?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. So this is the chapter where an event of Vaishnava Aparadh is described. So as you know, Chitraketu Maharaj did not have a son, and he was very morose. Then once Angira Rishi came to Chitraketu Maharaj's kingdom and asked him, "Why are you so sad, although you have everything?" Then Chitraketu Maharaj said, "Although I have everything, but I don't have a son. So whatever I have, all my kingdom, opulence, queens and soldiers and ministers and treasury, money, wealth, gold, silver, diamonds, all of them are not giving me any happiness because I don't have a son. Because I'm obsessed with the desire to have a son, I'm feeling so morose. Can you please help me get a son?" Then Angira Rishi performed a sacrifice, and Chitraketu Maharaj got a son, and Chitraketu Maharaj had 1 crore wives, and he got this son through the first wife, Jyeshta. Her name was Kritadyuti. And naturally, Chitraketu Maharaj became very attached to the son who is newborn, and he started spending more time with the son's mother only, means the first wife. So naturally, the remaining 1 crore minus 1 wives, 99,99,999 wives of Chitraketu Maharaj became very uncomfortable with this. They were a little jealous, not little jealous, they were very jealous and very envious of the first wife. And they felt that this little boy who just took birth in our family, he is the cause of our husband's indifference towards us. So let's kill him. So because of their envy, they lost all their common sense and kindness and compassion, and they committed this grave sin of killing an infant baby. So then Chitraketu Maharaj started lamenting, and of course the queen also was lamenting, and entire kingdom was lamenting, and even these queens of Chitraketu Maharaj who killed the boy, they were also crying, but they were acting as if they were crying. So at this moment, Narada Muni and Angira Rishi came to Chitraketu's kingdom and saw him lamenting and asked him several questions. And Chitraketu said, "I'm crying because I lost my son." Then Narada Muni, by his mystic powers, brought this boy back to life. And the boy started speaking to everyone there. And eventually Chitraketu Maharaj developed an understanding of how life is temporary. A person who takes birth has to die one day. And how all the relationships based on material body are also temporary. The relationships of son, daughter, father, mother, all of them will have to be terminated one day with the death of the body. So Chitraketu Maharaj got this understanding, and he accepted Narada Muni as his guru. And Narada Muni gave him initiation in Sankarshana mantra. And Narada Muni gave a mantra which Chitraketu Maharaj chanted for 1 week, 7 days, and he got the darshan of Lord Sankarsana. And Chitraketu Maharaj offered heartfelt prayers to Lord Sankarsana, and Sankarsana made him the king of Vidyadhara planet. And Chitraketu Maharaj is now a very, very exalted devotee of Sankarsana, received the darshan and mercy of Sankarsana, and he received a special airplane from Lord Sankarsana, and in that airplane he started moving. He was just going around along with some ladies who were also traveling in that airplane with him, and all of them together were chanting the glories of Lord Hari. So like that, Chitraketu Maharaj was wandering in his special airplane given to him by the Lord himself. So as Chitraketu was just moving like that, one day, he came to a spot where Lord Shiva was sitting amongst some sages, and he was speaking some philosophical subject matters to all the sages. And at that time, Mother Parvati was also there with Lord Shiva. And where was she sitting? She was sitting in the lap of Lord Shiva. So you have seen in so many pictures, and even some deities are also carved with Mother Parvati sitting on the lap of Shiva, or Lakshmi Devi sitting on the lap of Narasimha Dev. So it's nothing wrong when the Lord is affectionate towards his wife and makes her sit on his lap. So Mother Parvati was sitting on Shiva's lap. But somehow Chitraketu Maharaj became concerned about Lord Shiva. What was his concern? Very surprisingly, he said that even ordinary people embrace their wives in seclusion, in private. How come Lord Shiva was embracing Mother Parvati, making her sit on his lap in public, that too in an assembly of sages, while some philosophical discussions were going on? So Chitraketu became little surprised, concerned, and he expressed his concern. His emotion was valid. His point was that yes, Lord Shiva is unaffected by this kind of behavior. Although he is making his wife sit on his lap publicly, he is unaffected by it. Absolutely, there is no trace of lust in his heart. So Lord Shiva is unaffected, but by seeing Lord Shiva like this, common people may misunderstand Lord Shiva and they may criticize Lord Shiva. Thus, Shiva's fame will be disturbed, and on top of it, those who criticize Lord Shiva will become offenders of a pure Vaishnava, and they will have to face the consequences of Vaishnava aparadh, and they will get affected. So Chitraketu Maharaj basically had two concerns. One, about Lord Shiva's fame. Second, about common people who may misunderstand him and offend him. Okay. So concerns were valid. Yes, to think that an exalted Vaishnava should not be defamed, an exalted Vaishnava should not be misunderstood by common people is a valid concern. It's good, right? But Chitraketu Maharaj himself was offending Lord Shiva, thinking out of being overly concerned that common people might offend Lord Shiva. Chitraketu Maharaj himself was offending Lord Shiva. You know why? Chitraketu Maharaj did not express his concern in the ears of Lord Shiva when they met in a private garden. Okay. Chitraketu Maharaj was sitting in his airplane. He was in the air, right? So the airplane stood in the air for a moment as Chitraketu Maharaj was expressing his wonder. And there, sitting on top of the airplane or inside the airplane, within the hearing of Lord Shiva, Mother Parvati, and so many other exalted sages, Chitraketu Maharaj loudly spoke. Very loudly he spoke, repeatedly he spoke, and boldly and publicly he spoke about Shiva's conduct there, right? So Prabhupada immediately clarifies Chitraketu's purpose in this whole event. So actually this whole event is orchestrated by the Lord himself, and Chitraketu Maharaj was definitely an exalted devotee of Lord Sankarshan, and the Supreme Lord Sankarshan wanted Chitraketu to come to Vaikuntha as early as possible. Okay, and the Lord's plan is that he would inspire Mother Parvati to curse Chitraketu Maharaj for laughing at Lord Shiva, And because of the curse of Mother Parvati, Chitraketu would become a demon. And as a demon, Vritrasur, he will just participate in one fight and he'll go back to Godhead. So Prabhupada kills all the suspense in the story. And right in the beginning of the pastime only, Prabhupada gives the whole purpose of the event. Okay. But let's analyze this event, this incident, to learn lessons for our own practical application in our own spiritual life. So Chitraketu Maharaj, when he was expressing his wonder and apparently criticizing Lord Shiva, he was glorifying Lord Shiva also. He said in the 6th shloka, can someone show the 6th shloka of this chapter only? Yeah. एष लोकगुरुः साक्षात् धर्मं वक्ता शरीरिणाम् आस्ते मुख्यः सभायां वै मिथुनी भूय भार्यया. Now, Esha Lokaguruhu Sakshat. Chitraketu Maharaj is saying that this Shiva is not an ordinary person. He is Sakshat Lokaguru. He is directly the Guru of the entire planet, right? Dharmam Vakta, he is also a speaker of Dharma. He is a knower of Dharma and he is speaker of Dharma, right? Whom is he speaking Dharma to? Shariranam, all living beings. Aste Mukhyaha Sabhayam Vai Mithuni Bhuya Bharyaya. How can he sit with his wife in his lap, that too in publicly? And he also said, Aste Mukhyaha, means he is best amongst all the propounders of Dharma, right? He is best of all living beings. Or you can put it this way, Esha Lokaguruhu means he is the Guru of everyone. Dharmam Vakta means speaker of religion. Sharirina Maste Mukhyaha means is the best of all embodied beings, right? So is the best of all people. So although Shiva is so exalted in multiple ways, how could he behave like that? Mithuni Bhuya Bharya. How can he keep his own Bharya and embrace her in assembly of great saints? Next shloka. Jatadhara. The Jatadhara, one shloka is there. 8th shloka or 7th shloka. Jatadharasti vratapa brahmavadi sabhapatihi ankikritya striyam chaste gatahrihi prakrito yatham. Jatadharaha. He said, Shiva, his Jatadhara means he wears this matted locks of hair. That shows he's very austere. So who wears matted locks of hair? Generally, those who are too much into austerities, detached people. So he is wearing matted locks of hair. Tivra tapaha. He is intensely austere, right? He doesn't even create a palace for himself, right? Brahmavadi sabhapatihi. He is the pati. He is the master or the president of the assembly of all Brahmavadis. Brahmavadi is not an impersonalist. Brahmavadi can be a strict follower of Vedas. Brahma can also refer to Vedas, right? Yet, Ankikritya striyam chaste gatahrihi prakrito yatha. Although he is so exalted in this way, how could he keep his wife on his lap, gatahrihi, as if he is shameless, prakrito yatha, as he is like an ordinary conditioned soul? How could that happen, right? So actually speaking, Chitraketu's criticism of Lord Shiva is not an offense, because he is also glorifying Lord Shiva in various ways. He said Jatadhara, Tivratapa, Lokaguru, and what else? He said Dharmam Vakta, Shariranam Aste Mukhyaha. So like that he said so many Brahmavadi Sabhapatihi. So he is glorifying Lord Shiva with very choicest words. At least 6. In 6 ways he glorified Lord Shiva in these 2 shlokas, right? So actually what Chitraketu said was not an offense, because in the sense that he did not have an offensive attitude in his heart. So what Daksha spoke to Lord Shiva in the 4th canto of Bhagavatam, 2nd chapter, was an offense. because he is very, can the devotees switch off their mics? I'm not sure if some sound is coming from somewhere. So what Daksha did towards Lord Shiva in the 4th canto was an offense. But what Chitraketu Maharaj did to Lord Shiva now is definitely not an offense, right? But what he said was not very pleasant. Although he did not mean to disrespect Lord Shiva or offend Lord Shiva or insult Lord Shiva, still what he said, he is not supposed to say that. Why? Because Shiva is not a junior devotee, he is a senior devotee. So Shiva is a very exalted devotee. Shiva is very, he's the best of all Vaishnavas. Vaishnavanam yatha shambhu. So, although Chitraketu Maharaj is definitely a devotee of Sankarshan, and Shiva is also a devotee of Sankarshan, that does not mean they both are on an equal plane. Shiva's position as a devotee of Sankarshan is on a higher plane compared to Chitraketu Maharaj as a devotee of Sankarshan. He is a devotee and he is also a devotee, but he is a young devotee. He just got darshan of Sankarshan, right? But Shiva, since time immemorial, he is a devotee of the Lord, right? Chitraketu became just a devotee. So we need to acknowledge the seniority of another Vaishnava. Okay, although both are Vaishnavas, but one should not get into correcting or disciplining or pointing out the faults or so-called mistakes of a senior person, right? So we need to see the pastime from 2 viewpoints, right? One, you should learn from the behavior of the characters of this pastime, and you should understand what to do and what not to do. And we should also see the overall purpose of the pastime, right? You analyze the behavior of Chitraketu Maharaj and then understand that, yes, we are not supposed to give feedbacks or, pass some kind of comments or give some corrective measures or disciplinary inputs to a senior Vaishnava. That much we understand. But also understand the overall purpose of the pastime. Why did the Lord enact this whole pastime? To bring Chitraketu Maharaj to the spiritual world, right? So similarly, in Parikshit Maharaj's case, Parikshit Maharaj, you can give me 1 minute. I have to close the door. So Parikshit Maharaj kept a dead snake around Shamik Rishi's neck, which is a mistake, definitely. When sage is meditating, how can you just go and ask water from the sage? He's already meditating. Okay, even if you are so desperate, you can't disturb a sage. Okay, fine, you are desperate, that's why you have disturbed. That's fine. But if he is unable to respond because of meditation, you can't keep a dead snake and insult that sage, right? What Parikshit Maharaj did was a mistake, but he did it by the will of the Lord. It is the Lord's will that instigated Parikshit Maharaj to do whatever he has done, and he was cursed for it. And within a week, he was supposed to die. And in this 1 week, Bhagavatam manifested. So to give Bhagavatam to all of us, the Lord has arranged this whole pastime where Parikshit is put into such humiliation and embarrassment, and he performed that mistake, right? So similarly, we should learn from the mistakes of great souls, and we should learn what not to do from the behavior of great souls without offending them. At the same time, although we understand that what they have done is a mistake, we should understand what is the overall purpose of the whole pastime. Why was this enacted? Okay. So now Chitraketu Maharaj mentioned like this. I think we can see the next shloka also. 8th shloka. Can someone show 8th shloka? Prayasah prakritaschapi striyam rahasi bibhrati ayam mahavratadharo bibhrati sadasi striyam. Again, he is glorifying Lord Shiva. See the 3rd line? Ayam mahavratadharo. Lord Shiva is mahavratadhara. Means he is a performer of great austerities, great vows. Okay. But still, prayasaha prakritaschapi. He is acting like a ordinary person. even Prakritas, even materialistic people also, Striyam Rahasi Bibhrati, they embrace their wives in private. But how could Shiva do it in public? That too in the association of so many sages, right? So Prabhupada writes that Chitraketu merely expressed his wonder. He did not have any offensive mentality as such, right? So whatever he said is also a glorification of Lord Shiva. Okay. Although Shiva is sitting like this, he is unaffected by such a behavior. Although Shiva is sitting in public in this way, Shiva is totally uncontaminated or unaffected by such a behavior, public behavior. Okay. So, but there is something that we need to understand here. What made Chitraketu Maharaj speak like this? He has I don't need this slogan, I can close it. So he had a slight tinge of pride within. He had some slight pride that I am a devotee of Sankarshan. Shiva is a devotee of Sankarshan. So now we are like equals, or we are both are on somewhat same plane. I can give a feedback to him. I can speak. I can give a feedback to him. Okay. So Sukadeva Goswami clarifies in the later shlokas that Chitraketu Maharaj, because of his repeated pointing out of Shiva's conduct and publicly mentioning about Shiva's conduct and loudly speaking and announcing in front of everyone, his loudness, his boldness, and his repeatedness, and doing everything in public was actually offense. While expressing his concern that common people might offend Lord Shiva, he himself is offending Lord Shiva. Right? So Prabhupada also says that this whole pastime is little mysterious, somewhat mysterious, common man cannot understand. Right? So, because yadyadacharati sreshtaha tatta devetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanuvartate. Srestha, Shiva is a Srestha, definitely. He is a very exalted personality. If he is sitting like this with his wife, common people also may imitate his behavior, saying that Shiva is sitting like this, why I can't sit? So they may say like that. And Chitraketu is very much concerned about it. Yeah, people may misquote Lord Shiva. So why did Lord Ramachandra give up his wife, Sita Devi? Because he was thinking that in future lusty kings may maintain affairs with so many people, quoting me as an example. Right? Of course, from a transcendental perspective, Lord Ramachandra and Shiva and Sita Devi, they are experiencing Vipralambharasa. Although they are externally separate from each other, internally they are in great union, right? So we need to see that pastime from a spiritual perspective also. Okay. So like that people may misquote Lord Shiva's example and they may behave in inappropriate ways. Okay. So that's what is the concern of Lord Shiva. So Shiva, when Chitraketu Maharaj desired that Shiva sees this external behavior so that common people don't imitate him and so that common people don't criticize him and just become offenders, right? So because if a Vaishnava is criticized, it becomes Vaishnava Parag. But while expressing that concern, Chitraketu Maharaj himself offended Lord Shiva, right? So Chitraketu's motivations were correct. But the problem is that he had a slight tinge of pride. He was thinking himself to be qualified to give a feedback to Shiva, who is an exalted Vaishnava. That was the mistake. That was his biggest issue, right? So, but Lord Shiva accepted his intention. Oh, Chitraketu Maharaj had a pure intention behind correcting me or pointing out my behavior. And because Shiva understood that intention of Chitraketu Maharaj, Shiva was silent. And because all the sages who are sitting in that assembly, they also understood the intentions of Chitraketu Maharaj and intentions of Lord Shiva, they also kept silent. Everybody was silent. Nobody responded, except one person. One person responded. Who is that? Parvati Devi. Right? Mother Parvati responded to this, right? And that these are the 3-4 shlokas that we have recited today. Okay. So, in fact, Shiva was smiling. Shiva just smiled. Oh, Chitraketu wants to establish truth about my conduct in this world. Okay, fine. Let his desire be fulfilled, right? I will not become angry with him, with his so-called harsh words, because they're ultimately beneficial to common people. So that is Shiva's understanding. So now from Shiva's behavior, we should know that even if a younger person corrects us, we don't have to immediately feel offended. We should not think that, Arey, you are so young. Abhi to aaya. You just came just in front of me. I have given you kanti mala. I have given you a bead bag. I taught you how to wear dhoti. How can you correct me? How can you give me correction? One should not be in that mode. So one should be humble enough to accept an advice from a younger person also, from a junior person also. And Shiva is exhibiting that kind of mentality now. So Shiva is the deity of Ahankar, but he absolutely has no Ahankar. Right? Shiva is in charge of Tamoguna, but he's definitely untinged by Tamoguna. So Shiva is Shiva. Okay, he's exalted. So, and one more thing you can see, nothing about Chitraketu Maharaj, but in general, when we are in the neophyte stages of our bhakti, sometimes our vachovegam is so high that we are too eager to express our opinions. We are too eager to, like show that we know things. Yes, we are not supposed to do like this. So we are too eager to point out others, or even if that mood is not there, at least to announce that I know it. Okay, of course, Chitraketu is not too neophyte devotee, but I'm telling about general neophytes, right? So, but it is not proper. Even if a senior person happens to perform an activity which is not aligning with the standard moral or ethical behavior, we should not point them out. We should not demean them or disrespect them or find fault with them publicly. So that's important for us, right? Just like once, with all due respects to Lord Brahmaji, once Brahma was running behind his own daughter Vak in the beginning of creation. And the sons of Marichi saw Brahma and they laughed at Brahma. And they had to fall down from their position. But what did Marichi and other sages do? They offered prayers to the Lord. First, they requested Brahma, please, it doesn't befit your position. Although Brahma is senior to them, but their expression is very, very polite, very, very respectful. There is no tinge of superiority complex or pride that they experienced when they are requesting Brahma to stop this kind of behavior. But it is not the case with Chitraketu Maharaj. Chitraketu Maharaj definitely had great respect for Lord Shiva, but also there is some tinge of pride, not so much pride like Duryodhan, not so much pride like Kamsa, but a slight tinge of pride he had, Chitraketu Maharaj, by which he felt that I can correct Lord Shiva also, right? Sometimes we become self-appointed auditors of everything that is happening around us. You're not supposed to do like this, you're not supposed to do like that. Right, it's okay, no problem. You don't have to point out everything. You don't have to change the world. Sometimes, although you are seeing something which is happening not according to certain protocols or something like that, you may keep quiet. Right? It's not necessary for us to correct everyone and everything around us. It's not necessary. So, like, even with a good intention, Chitraketu Maharaj was pointing out Shiva's so-called external conduct, which is inappropriate from one perspective, okay? But still, Shiva is unaffected by such behavior, and Chitraketu was supposed to be very sensitive to Shiva's exalted nature and sensitive to the situation where 100 people are sitting there and should have kept quiet. But he did not do that. He was too bold in his expression because he had a tinge of pride. Okay, although he didn't mean to insult Shiva, but he should not have criticized, right? So you are transgressing moral, social customs. How could he say that, right? So as we are advancing in bhakti, or as we are spending more time in bhakti, that's a better way of putting it, okay? As we are spending more time in bhakti, as years are passing by, as we are becoming more and more, quote unquote, experienced, we may feel a sense of entitlement. We may feel that I deserve this treatment. Or we may feel that, yes, my words have this potency, have this value. I can say anything about anyone or anything that is happening around me. So one should be confident in Krishna's protection, but one should not be overconfident about one's own understanding or greatness or superiority or whatever. Okay, so one should not be overconfident. So here Chitraketu Maharaj exhibited too much of confidence in correcting Lord Shiva, right? So Vaishnava should always remain humble, meek, and offer respect to others. Tranadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadina kirtaniyaha sada harihi. So one should be humble and meek, especially in front of someone who is more experienced than us, senior to us, superior to us. So either in terms of number of years spent in Krishna consciousness or knowledge that they have, or ashram that they are in any way, if someone is superior to us in some perspective, we should take that perspective and then respect that person, right? Don't try to search for reasons in people or attributes of people that make them show little lesser than you. Search for those reasons by which you can respect them. Don't search for those reasons by which you can disrespect them or insult them or correct them or find fault with them, right? Search for their good and respect them for what they are. Instead of searching for their faults and then disrespect them, he doesn't know this also, I know better. Okay. So that kind of mentality will lead to offenses to Vaishnavas, which is considered mad elephant offense. When we offend, what happens is we will lose taste in our bhakti. We will lose our interest to chant the holy names of the Lord, interest to do Sravanam, Kirtanam and all. Our taste in bhakti is lost. Why should we lose it? After undergoing so many difficulties and spending millions of lifetimes in this material world, somehow we got the opportunity to chant Hare Krishna, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, worship the deities, and spend time with devotees. Why should we lose access to these privileges, spiritual privileges, by our offensive mentality? So we should be very careful in our dealings with other devotees, especially very senior people. So now Krishna cannot tolerate pride in his devotees. Even if there is a tinge of pride in the devotees, Krishna will do the needful to purify that pride. So we have seen several examples. Indra is a popular example. Out of his whatever, you cannot say pride, but for whatever overconfidence, Brahma wanted to test Lord Krishna. When Krishna killed Aghasur and all the devatas were glorifying Krishna, and the glorification and all the sounds of the musical instruments that they played went all the way to Brahmaloka. And Brahma came to Vrindavan and saw this little boy Krishna eating his lunch along with other boys and eating their remnants. How can he be God? It is Brahma who chanted Purusha Sukta and then called Krishna, Krishna, please come to earth planet, reduce the burden of earth. But he forgot all that. He wanted to test Krishna. Right? Sometimes even a devotee may also can deviate from proper consciousness, can deviate from the mentality of being a subordinate to Krishna and think oneself to be so great that he can correct Krishna or test Krishna's exalted devotees also. So that's very unfortunate, right? So one more thing is that Sankarshan has blessed, Lord Sankarshan has blessed Chitraketu Maharaj also. Now Chitraketu Maharaj is feeling a sense of close connection with Lord Sankarshan, and he felt confident that I can correct Lord Shiva also. So one lesson, nothing particular about Chitraketu Maharaj, but a general tendency in common people is that when we are affiliated to or connected to someone very great, we think that we are great, right? So in some Telugu circles, there is one proverb. It says that although the deity is ready to give a boon, the pujari blocks it. Or pujari feels that the deity has to give boon to this devotee only with my sanction. And the devotee has to offer his worship to the deity only with my sanction. So the pujari comes in the between, between the Lord and between the deity and the devotee, right? General pilgrims. So basically, because of one's close connection with a very exalted personality, whether it is Guru or the deities, or in ordinary circles, a king or a higher manager or a president or this or that, when we are closely connected to someone very exalted, we may think that we are exalted, and we may look down upon those people who may not have that privilege, or we may take the association of other people for granted. Because I already have a connection established here, and I kind of minimize this person. For example, a guru initiates a disciple just now, and the same guru has initiated another disciple 10 years back or 20 years back. Now, as soon as initiation happens, this new disciple may think that now he is my god brother. We are equals. He's 10 years senior to you, 20 years senior to you, right? How can there be equality? So please acknowledge that seniority also, right? Yes, both are disciples of the same guru. Both are initiated. Both are now initiated into Vaishnava Sampradaya. Both have the names as Das. Yeah, now I am also initiated. Yes, what a big deal. I also got saffron. What a big deal. Okay, so sometimes the gap between a younger person and an older person is reduced in the mind of the younger person as he is gaining little more experience, right? So one should never forget one's subordinate position to all Vaishnavas. What to speak of senior people? We are servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of everyone, right? Gopi bhartuhu padakamalayur dasanu dasaha, right? So Kulashekar Alvar says, right? Tvad bhritya paricharaka bhrityasya bhritya itimam smara lokanatha, right? He says 7 times uses the word servant, bhritya or paricharaka. So that's the mood in which we need to operate. So once Bhurijan Prabhu, His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu came to GEV many years back, maybe 10-11 years back. We just began Bhaktivedanta Vidyapith at the time. Around 20 students just joined the course, 2-year course. And we requested Prabhu to spend some time with the students. He didn't have much time. He said, I am walking to the main gate now. They can accompany me, right? So all the students, the young devotees, they were just walking along with Bhurijan Prabhu, and I was also walking. So we were all going. So he said only one point. Now, it's very, very good that all of you are studying Srimad Bhagavatam very systematically, very nicely. So it's very good, very happy. But by studying so much, we should not become proud. We should always remain this. So he was just pointing out to some symbol on somebody's sweater. That was winter season. So people were wearing their jackets and sweaters. So somebody is wearing a jacket where ADIDAS is written, right? Adidas. We are supposed to be Das. He's just pointing out that logo of that brand, Das. You are supposed to be Das, servant. So by studying so much Shastra, if you don't develop the mood of being a servant of Krishna, then we will not get mercy of Krishna. As simple as that. So instead of getting mercy of Krishna by studying Shastra, we will become offenders, we will gain pride, oh, I know so much. These people don't know much, this much, right? So that kind of mentality will ruin one's spiritual life, right? So now we were discussing the other day when Krishna was touring Mathura city, he came upon the washerman first. And the washerman was very proud. Why? Krishna just asked him some clothes. Can you please give us some clothes? We are some young boys coming from Vrindavan. Then this washerman said, you forest dwellers, you mountain wanderers, you uncivilized village people, cowherds, how can you expect to wear the clothes that are meant for the royal order, the king? They're king's clothes. So get out of this place. If you ask the king's clothes, the soldiers of the king will beat you, will arrest you, will kill you. Get out of this place. So he insulted. He can politely say, no, I cannot give Kamsa's clothes. He may become angry with me. I'm sorry. He could have said that. But he insulted them. Why? Our Sukadeva Goswami says that there are so many washermen in Mathura city, but this particular washerman is washerman of the king. He's thinking that he's king. Because he's king's washerman, he's thinking that I'm king. or he has a sense of superiority complex amongst his community, his washerman community. He has hundreds of assistant washermen. He has thousands of braying donkeys carrying so many clothes with him, right? So he has sense of identity, right? He's thinking himself very great because he's connected with the king. So that kind of mentality will only bring upon one's destruction. And you know what happened to him? Krishna just killed him. Okay. So one of the prominent reasons why Krishna orchestrated this entire Maushala Leela or annihilation of Yadu dynasty is some Yadus were exhibiting some whimsical behavior because of their close connection with Krishna. So Krishna said, nobody after me should claim that I'm coming from Krishna's family. So everyone should respect me as much as they respect Krishna. So one should not claim that. So Vaishnava culture says that a devotee should not expect respect from others, but should be ready to offer respect to others. Or respect to others. So, but when that mentality is not there, instead of accumulating blessings, we'll accumulate curses, right? So these are some things that we can learn in this context. So nothing of what we discussed so far will exactly apply to Chitraketu Maharaj, but in the context of Chitraketu Maharaj exhibiting too much of boldness and confidence and little pride in correcting Lord Shiva, we are trying to zoom in into this principle of respecting senior Vaishnavas and not commenting upon them, and then we are analyzing it more. But all these points that we're discussing are not exactly applicable to Chitraketu Maharaj. He has pride, but it's not so big pride, very little pride, slight tinge of pride, right? With a good intent. So now Parvati became very, very upset with Chitraketu's behavior. Then she was saying, is he the appointed chastiser who is holding a punishing rod to punish shameless people like us? Bhrigu forgot dharma, Brahma forgot dharma, Narada Muni forgot dharma, 4 Kumaras forgot dharma. Looks like all of them forgot dharma, only this person remembers dharma, right? So like that, she became very upset with him and she said, my dear son, I curse you to become a demon. She said, my dear son. And she said, I curse you to become a demon. Okay. So Prabhupada says that Mother Parvati is exactly acting like a mother in this context. When a son does a mistake, mother has the authority, not only authority, the responsibility to rectify his mentality. So as a responsible mother of Chitraketu Maharaj, Mother Parvati just cursed him to become a demon. How? Chitraketu Maharaj gave a feedback to Lord Shiva. And Mother Parvati also can give a feedback to Chitraketu Maharaj, right? But she did not give feedback. She gave curse only directly. So he passed some comments. She did not pass a comment. She passed a curse. So now it seems that the punishment given to him was disproportionate to the offense he has committed. Same thing happened in the case of Parikshit Maharaj also. He kept a dead snake around Shamik Rishi's neck and he was cursed to die in 7 days. You see, sometimes we may do a small mistake, but we may get a big punishment. Silly mistake, serious punishment. Yeah. If we are not responsible in our behavior, what comes as a consequence of our inappropriate behavior, we have no control over it. When we had control over our behavior and we did not control our behavior, we have no control over what comes as a consequence of our misbehavior. We cannot choose. See, I give this, I made this much punishment, this much mistake only, you should give me this much punishment only. We cannot negotiate there. So what comes as a consequence of our misbehavior is not in our hands. It is in the hands of the people who are affected by our misbehavior. Especially when they're very powerful people, we should just be recipients of whatever comes on its accord. So she even said that he is claiming himself to be a Vaishnava, but he is unfit for the Lord's shelter, right? So basically, pride makes us unfit for Krishna's shelter, but humility makes us qualified for Krishna's shelter. So when humility is expected from us, if we expect pride, how can we expect shelter? If we express pride, we cannot expect shelter, right? So if a devotee thinks himself or herself to be very advanced in bhakti and becomes very puffed up, that attitude itself becomes a disqualification to get shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. And that's what Mother Parvati is indicating with her words in this episode. So offending a Vaishnava is considered mad elephant offense, because when a mad elephant enters a beautiful garden, it just completely spoils the entire garden. So that's what Vaishnava Parad means. Vaishnava Parad, although we have accumulated a lot of spiritual credits by sincerely doing Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, this and that, we do everything and accumulate a lot of spiritual credits. We commit an offense to one Vaishnava. And Vaishnava may not be hurt. Krishna, who is within the heart of a Vaishnava, will get hurt. When Krishna gets hurt, okay, because of our offense to Vaishnava, what will happen? That offense that we have done will act as a mad elephant that destroys the garden of bhakti that we have created. Of course, Krishna Chakravarti Thakur clarifies, whatever advancement in bhakti that you have made will not be lost. Neha bhikramana sausti pratyavayuna vidyati. But we will lose access to that spiritual credits. So we have developed some taste for bhakti by sincerely, regularly following our sadhana. Okay, taste for our Sravanam, Kirtanam and all. We came to this point. So we committed a Vaishnava offense. So we cannot continue with that taste, right? So we will be blocked there. We cannot access the taste that we have developed so far. We lose interest in chanting, hearing and all. But when we humble ourselves and go in front of a Vaishnava whom we have offended and beg forgiveness, and the Vaishnava wholeheartedly forgives, then we'll resume with our taste. Then the next day we can chant the rounds better with more concentration. Otherwise, till we receive forgiveness, heartfelt forgiveness from that Vaishnava whom we have offended, our rounds are a little distracted. Our rounds are off. We may imagine that we are actually chanting Hare Krishna with great concentration, with ecstasy. We are experiencing the sweetness of holy name. Madhura Madhuram Etan Mangalan Mangalanam Sakala Nigama Valli Sathalam Chitsvaram. I am realizing all this. We may think like that. But because if we have offended some devotee, although we assume that we are tasting the holy name, we are not tasting the holy name, right? So, therefore, one needs to focus on one specific service that is allotted to him by Guru, Krishna and Vaishnavas. And one should not unnecessarily criticize others. If somebody is troubling you in some way, you can express your difficulty in a forum which is relevant. Not that you keep on speaking to 100 people. If somebody's activity is causing you some inconvenience, yeah, no problem. You don't have to allow yourself to get exploited so much, you can go and express to that person or another person who can make some difference in the situation. So to that degree, we can understand. Not that, okay, somebody is behaving in an inappropriate way with me. Just because he's chanting Hare Krishna, I have to continue to tolerate. And in the name of Vaishnava Parad, I should just allow myself to get exploited. No, not like that. So if someone's behavior is inappropriate, you can always go and express to that person, please don't do like this, okay? Or express your difficulty. If he is not listening, you can go to his senior person and then tell in a dignified way, in a respectful way, in a non-judgmental way, in a very Vaishnava way. Respond to it in a Vaishnava way, not in a very uncivilized way, right? So basically, when we criticize others or when we give feedback to others unnecessarily, unconsciously we think that we are better than them. That's why we are giving, right? So internally, we may think, we may not clearly mean it, we may not clearly say it, or we may not clearly feel it in the mind, but somewhere deep within, there is a sense of superiority complex. We think we are better than them. That's why we are correcting them. Okay, our words will reveal it, and whole world may understand it. I may not understand. That's the whole issue, right? So, who is that? Daksha was criticizing Lord Shiva. You know, how did he begin his criticism in the 4th canto, 2nd chapter? He said that I am just speaking about culture of respect and good manners, and I am not speaking out of envy or fault-finding mentality. He began with a disclaimer. And what comes after these 1 or 2 statements of Daksha is pure unalloyed criticism of Lord Shiva. Although he may say, I'm not speaking out of envy, his envy is very clearly pronounced, clearly expressed, exhibited in front of hundreds and thousands of universal celebrities who attended that sacrifice. So, although we may think that, or we may say that, I'm not envious of this person. Of course, I have no envy. I always respect him. But your words reveal how much disrespectful you are, right? So, we should regularly introspect. We should do nididhyasana. We should introspect on our activities. Am I holding some envy towards these devotees? Am I holding some grudge towards these devotees? Am I being disrespectful towards them? Because what comes out in the mouth could be, or many times it is, an expression of our emotion, right? Without an emotion being present in the heart or in the mind, we cannot verbally express it, generally speaking, right? In all general cases. Of course, sometimes people may not be speaking in their first language, right? So internally they may be thinking in Hindi, externally they may be speaking in English, right? Or internally they may be thinking in English and externally they are speaking in Hindi because of lack of sufficient vocabulary or sentence construction abilities. They may not be able to communicate properly their feelings. We understand that much, right? But in all general cases, what we verbally express is basically a product of what we internally feel, right? So when we hold disrespectful feelings towards another Vaishnava, sooner or later, those disrespectful thoughts or emotions or feelings will manifest verbally in expressions or physically in actions also, right? We may neglect the person. He's coming in, just move ahead, okay? So that disrespectful feeling that we are holding within the heart may be seen in our words and actions also, right? So at heart, let us try to maintain respect for devotees. You can even take a book and then write how this devotee is glorious. So once you start making a big list of good qualities of different devotees, their little shortcomings will not overwhelm you so much, right? So of course we are sadhakas. Sadhakas means we are not perfect. We are practicing devotees. We may have certain shortcomings. So, but if we focus on shortcomings, we will see only shortcomings. But if we also focus on good qualities, the shortcomings will really be seen very minor or insignificant to us. But if we focus only on shortcomings, the good qualities will seem insignificant to us, right? Let us not make the significant good qualities of devotees insignificant, and let us not make their insignificant shortcomings as significant, right? So let us give more significance, more importance to the good qualities of devotees, and let us stay away from unnecessary fault finding, criticism, and offense towards other Vaishnavas, right? So if you happen to be a caretaker or a guide or a mentor or a counselor or a guru or an in charge of few people whom you have to correct and train and nourish and guide them, fine. You may just tell, this is where you are lacking, please improve. That too with a well-wishing intent, right? With a pure intent for the advancement, spiritual advancement of other younger Vaishnava, younger devotee, you may just give a correction for their benefit only. So to that degree, it is fine. But unnecessarily finding fault with other devotees, whether they are seniors or juniors or equals, it's risking our own spiritual life. Okay. And on top of it, if they happen to be seniors, my God, that becomes a great offense, and it is the effects, the consequences of such an offense will be very severe, right? So what is severity of the consequence? Basically losing taste in bhakti. What can be a more dangerous situation than not having taste for chanting holy name, not having taste for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, not having taste for all our spiritual practices or serving Krishna, right? So Prabhupada says that to surrender to Krishna means to surrender to devotees also. So unless we are in the mood of being a proper servant of a devotee, we cannot actually serve Krishna, right? So Vaishnava, we need to appreciate Vaishnavas, we need to focus on the good qualities of Vaishnavas, and we need to love them, appreciate them for what they are. If we point out their faults, the consequences will be very unpleasant, right? So Chitraketu Maharaj received this curse from Mother Parvati. Parvati said, my dear son, become a demon. Okay. When Parvati said that, let us see the consciousness of Chitraketu. So far we have analyzed how Chitraketu Maharaj's behavior was unpleasant and not very appropriate, right? Without any offense towards Chitraketu Maharaj. So while analyzing the mistake done by Chitraketu Maharaj, we are not supposed to offend Chitraketu Maharaj. He's an exalted devotee, he's Vritrasur, right? So we should always respect Chitraketu Maharaj, but just take this incident, in this incident, his behavior was not up to the mark. So let us take lesson, what we are not supposed to do by seeing him. He did this and he got this result. Let me not do this. That's the point that we are taking. Okay. That's not a license for us to offend him. So Prabhupada writes in the 3rd canto, 12th chapter, 3 points. When another devotee does a mistake, especially when a senior devotee does a mistake, how we are supposed to take it, right? What should be our response? Number 1, first point, don't lose discrimination. Just because a senior person or a great person does a mistake does not become a bona fide activity, right? It does not become authorized, right? Just because a celebrity says sun rises in the west, that does not mean sun rises in the west, sun rises in the east only, right? So we should not lose discrimination. Right is right, wrong is wrong. Okay. So we should not lose discrimination and think what is wrong to be right or what is right to be wrong just because some celebrity has done it, right? So that is first point. Don't lose discrimination. Second point is, don't disrespect the devotee. Don't discount whatever great services that he or she has done. Yes, this devotee has done so much service, and here there is a mistake that this devotee has done. So see the mistake as a mistake, don't lose discrimination. At the same time, don't disrespect the devotee, right? So we should not disrespect. So Prabhupada gives this example. Teji yasam na doshaya. Sun may evaporate moisture from urine and stool also. But will he get contaminated? Hey sun, you have evaporated moisture from urine and stool. Go and take bath. Okay. We should take bath when we touch urine and stool, but we cannot expect sun to do so. Okay. He doesn't get affected by it. Okay. So we should not lose discrimination, first point. Second, we should not lose respect for the devotee. Third, learn the personal lesson. If such an exalted person can do this mistake, even I can also do this. So let me be careful. Take a caution note from it. So these are the three ways in which we need to respond when a senior person does a mistake, right? So, but we should not get into correction. That too publicly, that too boldly, that too in front of everyone, that too repeatedly. That's what Chitraketu Maharaj has done. So now that Chitraketu Maharaj was cursed by Mother Parvati to become a demon, basically Vritrasura in the next life, what was his response? This is ideal. So far we have analyzed the mistake of Chitraketu. Now let us see the good consciousness of Chitraketu. Okay. He came down from the airplane. He bowed down to Mother Parvati with all humility and said, my dear mother, I accept your curse. He said many things, but I'll summarize. Because we are almost, I think we went beyond time. He said, my dear mother, I accept your curse. I didn't mean anything wrong, but whatever you think is wrong in my behavior, let that be wrong, and may I be punished for it, and may I be forgiven for it also. Right? He begged forgiveness from Mother Parvati. So Chitraketu Maharaj did not justify his mistake, but he gave a clarification. Any wife will get offended, any chaste wife will get offended when her husband is publicly criticized, publicly offended, isn't it? Natural for any woman like Parvati Devi. So, although Shiva did not get offended being a Vaishnava, he exhibited his Vaishnava quality. And now Parvati is exhibiting her chastity as the wife of Lord Shiva. How can you criticize my husband in public? She became upset with Chitraketu Maharaj. She cursed him, right? What she did is appropriate in one sense, right? And of course, whatever she did is inspired by Supreme Lord Sankarshana from within her heart, right? That's why she uttered that curse. And also, she corrected Chitraketu, chastised Chitraketu like a mother corrects her son, right? So there are so many lessons that we can learn from each character of this episode. But every character is revealing so many lessons from their behavior. Okay. So now, Chitraketu went and begged forgiveness. Now, I often compare Chitraketu Maharaj with Parikshit Maharaj. Okay. So Parikshit Maharaj did a mistake in his dealings with Shamik Rishi, and he realized that mistake, but he did not say sorry to Shamik Rishi. Now, Chitraketu did a mistake offense towards Lord Shiva, and he realized it. Oh, I offended Mother Parvati. I offended Lord Shiva. He immediately went and said, sorry, I'm really sorry, my dear Parvati. See, Chitraketu Maharaj did not want to take advantage of this whole situation to say that, Shiva, you are not offended. Why is she getting offended? Okay. If what I have done is really an offense, you would have become angry with me. You would have cursed me. You would have opened your thyroid and burnt me. But you did not do that. See, your wife is behaving against your wish. He did not get into any negotiation or some kind of complaint in front of all public. He did not go to all the sages who are sitting there and said, please just tell Parvati to take back her curse, right? So I didn't mean anything wrong. He is not justifying. He is not canvassing for forgiveness or for relief from the curse. The first thing that he said was, my dear mother, I accept your curse. I'm accepting your curse. No issue, right? But please forgive me. Because whatever I said caused pain to your heart, please forgive me. And Parikshit Maharaj did not say that. He did not say sorry. He did not beg forgiveness. Why? Because Shamik Rishi felt so bad that his son cursed Parikshit Maharaj. Now, Parikshit offended Shamik Rishi. Shamik Rishi was not offended. his son was offended. Chitraketu offended Shiva. Shiva was not offended. Parvati, his wife, got offended. Right? You see, now our Chitraketu Maharaj did not go and say sorry to Lord Shiva. He went and said sorry to our Parvati Devi, right? Because she is the one who got upset, right? So he went and said sorry, and he accepted the curse. He did not try to gain sympathy and empathy and some kindness from all the sages, and he did not take votes. He did not send a Google form. How many of you will vote in favor of me? I should not become a demon. I should not become a demon. I can become a demon. Yes, no votes. Okay, 50 votes in favor of me becoming a demon. 2,000 votes in the favor of me becoming not a demon, not becoming a demon. Okay, fine. my case spins. He is not into that. He just accepted it, right? So, do we have the detachment? Do we have such high degree of Vaishnavata, right? Such high degree of detachment? So please don't consider Chitraketu Maharaj as an ordinary soul just because he has given a public feedback to Lord Shiva. That will become our offense towards Chitraketu Maharaj, right? Let's not offend Chitraketu Maharaj. Let's analyze his offense in line with what Acharyas have taught us and learn what not to do in our spiritual life. But that's not a license for us to offend Chitraketu Maharaj. How exalted Chitraketu Maharaj is, how detached he is. He accepted such a heavy punishment of becoming a demon. He could see this whole event as orchestrated by the Supreme Lord personally. He could call Parvati as mother. My dear mother, I'm sorry, he said. When someone curses you to become a demon, how can you call her mother? Okay, so he did not have any disrespectful feelings towards Mother Parvati or towards Shiva, towards anyone. Right? He's an exalted Vaishnava. But because of some little slight tinge of pride or overconfidence or boldness, he just said something publicly. Right? So now, as I said sometime back, sometimes when we say something disrespectful, the feelings are somewhere there within the heart. They're coming out now, right? But it is not always the case with everybody in all contexts. Chitraketu Maharaj had great respect for Lord Shiva, but he had slight tinge of pride about his own bhakti, about his own connection with Sankarshan. You understand? So now that tinge of pride made him speak like that, not his disrespect towards Lord Shiva. These are two different things, right? He is proud of, a person may be proud of one's own accomplishments. Because of that, one may say something that may hurt other person. But sometimes a person may have innate ill feelings or bad impression on other people. Then that could be the cause of offense, right? So ultimately, what is offense? It depends on what is there in our heart. Even stepping on the shadow of a devotee is also considered an offense sometimes, right? Okay, but the real offense is when we try to discourage, demean, in a premeditated way, try to pull down another Vaishnava, right? Try to defame another Vaishnava is real offense, right? So other things are also offenses, but they're little minor. But what we do in a premeditated way, when we consciously desire the fall down of another Vaishnava, when we consciously desire harm for another Vaishnava, that's an offense, right? That kind of offensive mentality was not there in Chitraketu Maharaj at all, right? When we have disrespectful feelings towards another devotee, that's Vaishnava Aparaj, right? So that kind of disrespectful feelings were not there in Chitraketu Maharaj at all. He had little overconfidence. He developed a little overconfidence because he personally saw Sankarshan and then got an airplane from him. So that little boldness and confidence made him speak whatever he spoke. But he did not have an innate disrespect towards Lord Shiva. That's very clear here, right? He offered obeisances. So now, Parikshit did not say sorry. Chitraketu said sorry for their offenses. Why? Shemika Rishi felt bad that Parikshit was cursed by his son. Okay. So if Parikshit goes and says sorry to Shemik Rishi or even Shringi, whoever, Shemik Rishi would be more embarrassed, extremely embarrassed. So he will feel awkward. He will feel very uncomfortable, right? So already he's feeling bad that Parikshit is cursed. On top of it, Parikshit falls at his feet. He'll become even more embarrassed. So respecting the emotions, acknowledging the feelings of Shemik Rishi, Parikshit did not say sorry, right? But in the case of Parvati, Parvati felt upset because of Chitraketu's behavior. So Chitraketu had to go and say sorry to Mother Parvati. So in saying sorry or in not saying sorry, these two Vaishnavas, Parikshit and Chitraketu, they were acknowledging the feelings and emotions of other devotees. They were not considering what great injustice happened to me. Aho kashtam, aho anyayam. Right? What great injustice happened to me. We have been cursed for an insignificant mistake, heavy punishment for a small mistake. What's happening? They did not get into any dharna or some, they did not gather sympathy. They did not send, website link to gain votes. Okay. I don't know, there's something, the technical word, campaigning, something they do. Okay. He did not get into all that stuff. Right. They both did not get into that. Whether in saying sorry or not saying sorry, they are only giving value and respect to the emotions of other Vaishnavas. Sometimes we may have certain emotion of either repentance or guilt or humiliation or humility or feeling awkward or whatever it may be. We may have certain emotions. They may be genuine also. But we cannot be so overly enthusiastic to express those emotions in such a way that the other people will feel awkward. Right? So what's the point of expressing your quote-unquote genuine feeling that makes other Vaishnava uncomfortable? So we should not inconvenience other Vaishnavas. We should not disrespect other Vaishnavas. We should not, we should acknowledge their emotions also, right? So that's what Chitraketu Maharaj did. That's what Parikshit Maharaj also did. These are a few insights. I think we'll stop here, 6:08 now. Sorry for going beyond time. Thank you very much. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Very beautiful class, Prabhu. Little longer, certainly, but every word was beneficial to all of us. I won't summarize, Prabhuji. It's very long class and it's very late. But certainly, I loved whatever you said. Vachoge Begum certainly doesn't stop in a new devotee like me. Not only that, but all the other 5 ones are there too. And we should be just going through Trinadapi Sunichena, and we all agree on that. Our very dear Sukhakara Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Pranam Prabhuji, go ahead with the question. You are still muted, Prabhu. Sukhakara Krishna Prabhu, you are muted. I will try.
No, I could not open. It was logged actually.
Now it's good.
Sorry. Thank you, Raj Prabhu. Thank you, Gauranga Darshan Prabhu. You are really a pure devotee. The way you write and you give classes and all, I can see that you are going to be a future Diksha Guru. Very, very soon by Radhanath Maharaj, you will become. Prabhuji, what I am telling is you have written so many books in Bhagavatam, everything. So you are really gone so many times, and I really thank you for such wonderful Bhagavad Gitas and Bhagavatam. You really made it easy for us to take the classes and all. Just read the summary, the past, the present, and then go and present it. So copycatting, you made it very easy for everyone of us. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your blessings. I need your blessings. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna Prabhu, for being with us. Thank you. Hare Krishna Sukha Mataji, Danu Pranam. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danu Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class. I just have one question, Prabhu. I was wondering, like it is said in this.
No, actually mine went off. My internet connection went off. Sorry. My internet connection went off. That's why. Hello, Prabhuji, I got one question. Gauranga Darshan Prabhu. Now, what is he
asking?
Actually, I didn't finish my question at all. By the time my internet connection went off. Sorry.
Yes, Prabhu.
See, the Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, there also Krishna wanted to do some kusti. That's why he made all the Sanat Kumaras come and get the curse, and they went for 3 lives, Ravana. And is this, all these things are happening because God wants us to show us a drama, so that we will learn from that. All these pastimes are all pre-planned, and like that I'm seeing everywhere. It's some Parishar Maharaj is such a great person, how you put the snake on the neck, so that he'll get the curse and insert, get 7 days, and we'll hear the whole Bhagavatam. Is it all pre-planned by Krishna to make it orchestrated as if they are enemies? But actually Kumbhakarna is nothing but Jai Vijay.
Yes. Some of the events are pre-planned by the Lord, they are will of the Lord. Behavioral patterns exhibited by some great personalities are in accordance with the will of Krishna, plan of Krishna. But sometimes it is also the misuse of the minute independence of some personalities also, especially when they are not the Nitya Siddha associates of the Lord, right? So, like there are some events where some devotees, because of their slight tinge of anarthas that they still have, they behaved in inappropriate ways, and that cannot be fully attributed to the will of the Lord. Or you can also say that in some cases the Lord may use a person's tendency to misuse free will to fulfill his will. Is it clear? So I have a tendency to misuse my free will. Okay, the Lord wants to fulfill his will. He may use me as a tool. That also is one possibility.
So become nimitta matram. He wants to do it, so we become as
No. We may not consciously act as instruments of the Lord, but we may consciously misuse our free will. And by doing so, the Lord uses as a tool. So unconsciously we are acting as instruments in the Lord's plan, and consciously we are misusing our free will, right? So the Lord is very expert in getting things done. Okay, he can sometimes use Kamsa as an instrument to give his Vrindavan Darshan to Akrura. And Akrura thanks Kamsa. Thank you, Kamsa, for sending me to Vrindavan. So Kamsa is an instrument in Krishna's will. But did Kamsa consciously act as Krishna's instrument to give that grace to Akrura? So it's Krishna arranged it that way. Okay.
But will he get the credit? But will he get the credit? Because he made Akrura to meet Krishna.
Yeah, consciously or unconsciously, if someone happens to serve a devotee in some way, Krishna will show some grace. For example, Aghasur came to kill all the gopas and the calves. But the gopas and cows became a little happy seeing Aghasur even for a short time. So considering that, the Lord has given liberation to Aghasur. Okay. So the intent may not be pure, but if the activity is producing a result that gave some happiness to the Lord, definitely the Lord will bestow some mercy upon such people.
Prabhuji, how do we address our reverse selves coming in our life? Somebody who are very, very close to us, suddenly for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they're not talking, they're not taking the WhatsApp, and they're deleting the calls, and they're blocking, and nothing known done, but maybe in the last life or something, how to take it. We immediately get annoyed that he's junior, how he is not talking, and so how to face that, how to behave in that situation.
Maybe I missed a portion of your question, Prabhu. Can you please summarize your question once again?
I'm telling a devotee, a little junior, or maybe the same family. They've been so wonderful, so close, but suddenly for last 2-3 weeks, they are not responding, they're not picking the call, and they're not seeing the WhatsApps and no takes, sometimes blocked. So, but when we talk, no, nothing, but there's something is there. So at that time, we feel like reacting. How come you're doing like this? What did I do to react on that, or just keep quiet and wait and watch? Maybe Krishna's plan, that something to purify myself, like that, like how to...
No, basically, when somebody is not responding, there may be two possibilities. One is they're genuinely busy. Even if they see, sometimes I see a message also, I may not immediately reply. I'm in the middle of something. Now, you may get a message, but that blue tick is there, right? You may get a tick that I have already seen. But as soon as you see blue tick, you get a response from me. But I'm not in the middle of something that I can immediately respond. I'm in the middle of something. So I may see, but I may not get the time or bandwidth to immediately respond. But later I keep my phone aside and then I may do something else. And after 2 days, I say, his message, right? I saw it and then I could not immediately respond. Then after 2-3 days, I will respond. Okay, getting right. So it may not be intentional. First, we should give a benefit of doubt. Instead of immediately suspecting that, oh, they are disrespectful, they are not responding. Okay, we should give a benefit of doubt. And second thing is that sometimes they may not respond if they may not find it very important. For us, it is very important. But for them, they have 100 in life, 100 things in life that they may not have the bandwidth to go through this. Okay, so we should respect their space also. So we should not suspect their integrity, or we should not immediately judge their motivations. We should give a benefit of doubt that maybe they are busy. But even if they are consciously not responding, even after seeing it, we should respect their space. Maybe he's not interested. It's okay, no problem. Let me not send. Okay, so something like that. Because now there's a lot of overload of information. So many messages, so many people, so many groups. My God,
200 messages per day.
How can an average human being spend so much time to do all this, right? It may be a little beyond their capacity to respond also. Because we are sending, it's important for us, but we are sending to 200 people. For all 200 people, it may not be important, right?
Yeah.
We should just respect their space. We should not get affected. We should not get emotional.
But if they're really also not, they're a little annoyed also, you should think that Krishna wanted to correct me, that maybe the false ego, or in the past.
Why we have to unnecessarily bring in Krishna? Okay, you can bring in Krishna. It's good to be Krishna conscious, but we should just self-introspect and then say, okay, maybe I am bothering that person. Let me not annoy them. Okay. So
let them come.
Let them come back, or like it's not necessary also. But sometimes we may want attention from him or from her. So our attention-seeking tendency may make us discouraged or disappointed when we are not getting a response from others. But they may have to give attention to 10 other things, not to us.
Yes.
It's their choice. So we should respect that. We should not.
Okay.
We should not feel emotional. We should not take it to heart.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Raj Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Sukha Mataji, Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, my question was, the scriptures say that Swadoti Sadhya Savanaya Kalpate Uta Punasya Bhagavanu Darshana. So I was wondering, in both the cases, like we saw in Chitraketu Maharaj and also like Narad Muni, after he got the darshan, they spent some more time and then they went back to Godhead. Prabhuji, are you able to please?
Somehow the voice is not very clear. Some kind of resound, something is coming. You can speak, Mataji. We'll try to understand.
Prabhuji, is it clear now?
Yeah, very clear. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry about that. I was on headset. Prabhuji, my question was that the scriptures say that, the darshan of the Lord is so purifying that one immediately attends the spiritual realm. So my question is that even in the case of Narada Muni, and also now we saw in Chitraketu Maharaj, so they take some time, right? And then there's some more things happening before they go back to Godhead. So I was wondering if you can please throw some light on it. So what does it mean when we say Swadopi Sadhya, Savanaya Kalpate Kutta Punaste Bhagavanu Darshana? So I just want to know.
Bhagavanu Darshana. Very good. Shloka, nice reference to substantiate the the question and the concept. But the point is, so many people get darshan. Janmashtami day, at least 15,000, 20,000 people will come to take darshan. How many of them chant Hare Krishna? And Daksha also had darshan, but he offended Lord Shiva in the previous birth, and this birth he again offended Narada Muni. In the 6th canto only we see Daksha's case. Duryodhan got darshan of Krishna, but he wanted to arrest Krishna. Kamsa got darshan of Krishna. Shishupal got darshan of Krishna. Jarasandha got darshan of Krishna. Direct darshan, not just the deity. Okay. So, like, it's not that we get darshan of the Lord and we go to the spiritual world. But in what consciousness are we seeing Krishna? That's important. And what are our background activities? How much are we respecting Krishna? We may respect Krishna, for example, but we may not respect devotees. But although we see Krishna, that darshan is not very uplifting to us if we offend devotees of Krishna. Okay. So a pujari may sincerely worship the deity form of the Lord, but he is just fighting with other devotees and disrespecting them. What will happen? So we need to, we cannot say just darshan and we'll go back to Godhead. Not necessarily so. When darshan is taken with proper consciousness, then that will give us more mercy, access to more mercy, and that mercy need not come in the form of going back to Godhead only. It can come in 100 different ways as Krishna desires. But just taking darshan is not necessarily indicating the greatness of the person who is taking darshan. It's the greatness of the Lord who is mercifully giving darshan. But the person who is taking that darshan is not utilizing it properly. That's also a case. Okay, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Beautiful answer. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Radhika Mataji, Hare Krishna. Danva Pranam. You can unmute yourself, Radhika Mataji. Okay, we'll go to Shama Gauri Mataji. Shama Gauri Mataji, are you there? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the beautiful class as always, and thank you so much for your wonderful association after a long time. Really appreciate it. So, Prabhuji, I had the question from long time, Parikshit Maharaj got the curse to die in 17th, and because of the snake, and his son Janmajaya, he started the like a Sarpa Shatra, and the snake, the Yajna, and the snakes were coming and dying in that. Is that true, Prabhuji? Where is how the story goes? Like, and why means it's killing the snakes is the sin, right? And why they are like,
when Parikshit Maharaj accepted the curse and he died because of snake bite, died means he was liberated, he went to the spiritual world because of the snake bite. His son Janmejaya became upset with all snakes and he did a Sarpa Yaga. That was his overreaction to his father's death, because he was so overwhelmed with separation from his father. He got little affected and he wanted to kill all the snakes. But as he was doing the yajna and invoking the presence of all the snakes and throwing them into the fire, he was waiting for Takshaka to fall in the fire. And Takshaka at that time went to Indra and took shelter. Indra gave shelter. Okay, don't worry. Then Janamejaya told the priests, you chant mantras by which Indra and Takshaka both will fall in the fire. And they were chanting mantras. Then Indra and Takshaka both were about to fall. Then immediately the king of the Devatas, who is that? Brahaspati, came to Janamejaya and said, what are you doing? Why are you doing all this Sarpa Yaga? Basically, people will take birth and will die for multiple reasons, right? They have their own karma or the will of the Lord or some circumstances. So nobody will live in a body in this planet forever. So if a snake doesn't bite, someone else can come and kill, or even natural death also you may get. So you cannot have your father live eternally in the material world. So please don't unnecessarily kill all the snakes where one snake has killed your father. Okay, there is destiny, there is Lord's will. Please acknowledge this and then stop this killing. Okay, then immediately he stopped. So sometimes even a devotee may also overreact out of circumstances or out of too many emotions being carried in the heart. Sometimes devotees may overreact to situations, and they may go to extremes. Like Dhruva, when his brother Uttama died, what did Dhruva do? Oh, this Yaksha killed my brother Uttama, I will kill all the Yakshas. Then who controlled him? Swayambhu Manu came and controlled him. Hey, don't do that. For one Yaksha's mistake, why are you killing all the Yakshas? Then Daksha criticized Lord Shiva and cursed Lord Shiva. What did Nandi do? Out of his affection for Nandi, out of Nandi's affection for Lord Shiva, Nandi cursed all the followers of Daksha. Not only Daksha, but followers of Daksha also. Seeing that, Prabhu cursed all the followers of Lord Shiva. Then did Shiva approve it? He just got up and then walked out. Then everybody stopped. They mellowed down. Okay. So sometimes out of affection for a beloved person, we may overreact. Okay. But a noble person or an honest person is one who controls his overexcitement or overreaction when another wise person comes and gives a good advice. So we saw Dhruva overreacted, Swayambhu Manu stopped him, and Dhruva stopped. He humbled. Yes, I'm sorry. I went beyond my boundaries. Then similarly, Brahaspati said, no, don't do this. Immediately Janamejaya stopped. Right? So emotions will make one do things beyond necessity. But another wise person comes and then gives an advice, and we accept it and we stop it. Right?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very detailed answer.
So, Prabhuji, Radhika Mataji actually cannot unmute.
You can read the question.
Yes, but there is a question in the chat box, Prabhuji.
You can read?
Oh, yes, Prabhuji. Sorry, I thought you were reading it. So, Prabhuji, how to get taste in chanting and how to willingly chant. I know that without holy name, no spiritual progress will be gained. And only with Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Krishna can be accessible. But something is stopping me to chant. Mind always convinces to do it later and do something else now. And then chanting is not done at the end of the day.
Oh, chanting is not. Yeah, sometimes when we are chanting, not sometimes, most of the times, when a struggling sadhaka is chanting, mind doesn't allow us to focus on chanting. It says, check the phone, and with your left hand, move the mouse, computer mouse, okay? Or just talk to that person, just move around. Yeah, it happens, and we have full experience of that. But we should prioritize. And the best thing is to sit with other devotees, preferably early in the morning, and then chant with those devotees. And in the association of devotees who are sincerely chanting, without getting distracted, we will also be saved from our distractions and focus on the holy name, right? So, chanting in the company of devotees is a best and practical solution. So, even if our mind diverts us to check our phone 10 times while sitting with other devotees will control. They will say, forget saying. They will glance on you. Hey, how many times you will take our mobile? Once in a while we understand, you may have some urgent message, but how many times you are taking? Then that's why glances, we will just keep the phone aside and focus on chanting. Right? When we are dozing off, they will wake us up. Okay. So, like that. I'm a college student. I don't have association of devotees. Now I have a brilliant idea, which it's not my idea. I have seen it at multiple places. So early in the morning, devotees open Zoom call, right? So you have some other friend devotees. So all devotees come on Zoom and then chant. 5 devotees, 10 devotees, 20 devotees. So if you don't have physical contact or association with devotees, we can take online association, right? I have seen devotees who are chanting together daily from morning 4 to 5, 4 to 5:30, like that. They're working devotees. Recently, I saw in Seattle, right? I also joined their Zoom call. That was my first Zoom Japa, right? So yeah, I think this is good. You can get online association, Radhika Mataji. But thank you. As being a college student, you are very interested to chant, and you are aspiring for association. That's inspiring. Hare Krishna.
We do japa on Bhakti Sangha. That's why it's called Bhakti Sangha Japa group. We do japa like 4 to 7 morning, 3 hours.
Yes, you got direct practical answer for the question now. Okay, we'll conclude now. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the beautiful class, Prabhu. Thank you for your time, Prabhuji, and for your services to the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much. So, dear devotees, the class will end right now. We have to say sorry to all the questions that were not answered, maybe in the chat box or whatever it was. Maybe some comments were not read, but it's getting too late. So let us pay our obeisances to Prabhuji. Vancha Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ji ki His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhu ji ki Jai.
Gauranga, Nityananda, Gauranga, Nityananda, Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam, सबको मिले वृंदावन धाम।